hurt his shoulder right early in the game, and then Tranquil, Bolton, and Gelati, but they all finished, and they should be okay as we go forward. I'd like to thank the people of Brazil here and for Sao Paulo for the hospitality.
I remember stepping off the field that night in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and feeling a strange mix of exhaustion, adrenaline, and frustration wash over me, because while the game had the kind of intensity you dream about as a competitor, it also had those raw, chaotic moments that leave you shaking your head and reminding yourself you're still human, no matter how many years you've been in this league. And as I replay it all in my mind, I keep going back to going back to make process, or if all that it's all called blitz, you're still human. Self and little and great. If going to spirits angle will enter Q of viral. The Chargers' massive defensive tackle, a guy who stands 6 feet 2 inches and weighs in over 300 pounds, a mountain in cleats. And when we clashed in the middle of a drive, things boiled over in a way that could have gone very differently. Because after I finished blocking him harder than he probably expected, he snapped, turned toward me, and slapped me across the helmet with an open hand right there in front of the refs and the Rory, right there in front of the refs and the Rory around. As we really knew of, I preferred the hands of historical coats, otter air belows, Brenna, down, cross loud with an open hand. The right there in front of the refs, to react, to swing back, to make it clear I wasn't going to be disrespected like that, but something inside me pulled me back. Maybe it was experience, maybe it was self-control, or maybe it was the fact that I know my role as a leader on this team is bigger than a single heated moment. So I shrugged, raised my hands, and appealed to the refs instead, which probably shocked some fans expecting fireworks. But deep down, I knew the T would his game and certainly not give the Chargers any more momentum than they already had. That slap might have looked harmless to some, but make no mistake, in the trenches of football, those hits can rattle you. Yet it wasn't the pain that stuck with me. It was the fact that the call came down to such a fine line in the rulebook. If Tart had clenched his fist, he would have been ejected on the spot. But because it was open-handed, it became a 15-yard penalty and nothing more. A technicality that left me shaking my head because the intent was there, and still we lined back up, refocused, and I tried to remind myself why I play this game, why I fight through those moments, and why the pressure in Brazil felt unlike anything I'd experienced before. Maybe it was because this was history, our league's first official game in South America, staged in front of tens of thousands of passionate fans waving Chiefs banners and Brazilian flags, screaming in a language I couldn't fully understand but could absolutely feel in my chest. And even though Taylor wasn't in the stands that night, her absence hung heavy on me because she's been my rock through so much recently. I still felt her support from afar. Our fans back home, a performance they could cheer for. But let me be real, the first 3 quarters were tough, nothing was clicking the way we wanted, my routes felt labored, their defense was physical, and Patrick was scrambling just to keep plays alive. But football is a game of resilience, and at the start of the 4th quarter, we finally broke through. I lined up, looked at Pat, and saw that fire in his eyes, that unspoken signal we've shared for years, and when he launched that 37-yard rocket in my direction, I knew I had to make it count. So I stretched, hauled it in, and found the end zone, finally giving us the spark we needed, and the roar of the Brazilian crowd, even though half of them were neutral or rooting for the Chargers, felt like a tidal wave lifting me up in that moment. It wasn't just a touchdown, it was redemption. It was proof that even when you start slow, you can still finish strong, and it reminded me why this connection between Pat and I has been the backbone of so many Chiefs victories. But Football doesn't always give you the fairy tale ending. On the 2-point attempt, Tart of all people got his hand up again, swatting away Pat's pass to Noah Gray, preserving their slim lead, and twisting the knife just a little deeper, because sometimes the guy who cheap-shotted you earlier ends up being the same guy who makes the play that changes the game. And that's the cruel beauty of competition. No script, no guarantees, just chaos and willpower collide. Still, walking off that field, even with the sting of the loss and the weight of what could have been, I couldn't ignore how much this game meant, not just to us as a team, but to the NFL, to Brazil, and to the global fans who showed up wearing Chiefs red or Taylor Swift shirts, screaming my name, and holding banners that made me realize this isn't just football anymore. It's culture, it's entertainment, it's history in motion. And as I stood there during the Brazilian national anthem, goosebumps running down my arms, I realized that no matter what happens in the win-loss column, I'll never forget what it felt like to be part of something bigger than myself that night in Sao Paulo, because games come and go, touchdowns fade into the record books, but moments like this, where the whole world seems to stop and watch, these are the ones that stay with you forever. And I wouldn't touch Tot. This is like from Juju that been very nice. Our gal, I'm already thinking. Like this in any case, very well. And I wouldn't touch Ted. It seems to stop and watch. These are the ones that stay with you forever, and I wouldn't touch down.